Hey folks, I'm Doug Hensley, president of Hertz Real Estate Services, and I'm coming to you today with our February 2022 Farmland Market Update. As has been well publicized, there was an incredible volume of farmland across the Midwest that came to the market in both the third and fourth quarters of 2021. And in spite of the volume spike, land values continue to rise, and that speaks to the incredible strength that we saw in the market in late 2021. That both sales volume and prices would rise is not common, because normally when supply is rising, demand will be offset and they influence each other that way. But in late 2021, we had a very, very unique market. Now that we've turned the corner in the calendar to 2022, many expected that sales volume would actually drop off. After all, many of the sales that happened in late 2021 were motivated by tax policy changes and concerns to tax policy changes from many farmland owners, and folks wanted to get in ahead of the calendar year end before the potential that those tax policy changes would go into effect on January 1. As it turns out, those tax policy changes actually did not occur, or they haven't yet. And here in early 2022, sales volume is actually still quite brisk. The market is not quite as full throttle as what it was in late 2021, but it's certainly busier and more active than some in the marketplace expected. Looking forward here in 22, there are a couple key factors that I want to share with all of you to be aware of in this early 22 market in particular, that make it just a little different than where we were a year ago. First, I want to share the input prices that are paid by farm operators going into the new crop year in 22. They're substantially higher than what they were a year ago, and this reality is giving some concern and some pressure to margins at the farm level. An example of this for growing corn would be the cost for anhydrous ammonia, which is a nitrogen input that you need to have for growing corn across the Midwest. A year ago, for the 21 crop, anhydrous ammonia was about $500 to $700 a ton, depends on when you bought it. And coming into the 22 crop year here, we're looking at anhydrous prices that range from $1,300 to $1,600 a ton. So it's about doubled. And that's an example of one of the input prices that we've seen a spike in. There are others, and that change in cost structure matters, because anything that changes the profit potential at the farm level will also impact the price that a farmer may be willing to pay for a farm. And because 7 out of every 10 farms are acquired by active farmers on average, their profitability very much matters to the land market. So keep that in mind. Secondly, and maybe just as important in this 22 land market, is a change in posture by the Federal Reserve as it relates to interest rate policy. One of the tailwinds in our farmland market here in recent years has been extremely low interest rates for anyone who needed to borrow money to buy a farm. And because we're starting to see some shifting in our overall economy with inflation across the economy, it's widely expected that the Federal Reserve is going to begin raising rates in 2022 here, likely in early 22. Higher rates will eventually take some steam out of the land market, just like it will the economy in general. And it depends on how far and how fast the Fed makes its moves as to the impact in the land market as well as the rest of the economy. To be clear, I want to say I do believe our strong sales environment in the farmland market is going to continue into the next 3 to 6 months. What we can see out, we still have really strong grain prices, and we have a lot of dry powder, so to speak, on the sidelines and people that are looking for farms. But I want you to be aware, when we compare where we're at today versus where we were a year ago, I think there's a couple of things that we could look at as light headwinds coming into this current market, where we didn't have those quite so much a year ago. And we're just seeing some of those shifts begin to occur in the marketplace, which is what a market's all about. It's changing all the time. So we want you to be informed how all this plays out. Again, we will keep you informed. We have another 25 or 30 land auctions or sealed bid sales that will be happening over the next 60 days or so. So we'll have lots of sale data to continue to provide you information from as is applicable. As always, if you have a question for us about your farm or your specific situation, you can always reach out to us toll free at 800-593-LAND. That's 800-593-5263. Or you can jump on the web anytime and check us out or send us an inquiry at hertz.ag. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon.